What's up, guys? This is Westy. I decided this time en route I would record all of my games. This is a game I played with Slugfencer, who is Steve Kamke. Pretty good player. He likes to fiddle around with kind of different decks. This one he's playing here is actually 100 cards, which I don't realize until like halfway through the game. But still, it should be a fun game. So. I am playing a Gates of Samaria and then Royalty TGT Cross deck. Um, this deck, my dad used it in Minnesota State and did pretty well with it. He's a bit of a slow player, so he did time out quite a few games, but I thought, you know what? If he can do well with it, I should be able to do well with it. So I decided to build a list and give it a go. So it's kind of balanced. It's not exactly turtle, but here, result of the die roll, I get to choose, and I pretty much always choose to go first. Um, Generally, like if your opponent has a lost soul, you want to go first because then you get first chance for them to draw it. And if they don't have a lost soul, then you want to go first. Well, if they don't have a lost soul, you want to go first because then there's the first chance for them to draw it. If they do have a lost soul, then you get the first chance to rescue it, and half the time there's no evil in hand. So, like here, I just rescue with Peter. He doesn't have anything, so he gives me a lost soul. I am playing Crown of Thorns. It kind of goes along with the decrease theme with Gates of Samaria. And yeah, it's a pretty interesting deck. I actually like it a lot. So um, I'm done now. It is his turn, I believe. And uh, here he puts down a Dragon Raid, which is kind of unfortunate. One of the nice things about Gates of Samaria is it can lock an opponent out if you catch them off guard. A lot of people now don't really play site access because sites are such a weird thing in the past, and generally, I mean, a lot of people play Nazareth, so that will give you access to Samaria sites, and pretty much the only other sites that are played are all different colors, and usually you can slip in anyway. But he is playing Dragon Raid here, which is good for him in this case, because I don't think he's going to play Nazareth in a Genesis deck. Genesis is very search heavy. And here, this is when I realized that he has 100 cards in his deck when I see the two Benjamins. And it's pretty funny. You might be able to see in the comments section there, I kind of give her a bit of a reaction because I didn't expect it whatsoever. But you know what? 100 card decks can really be good. They have a lot more resources. They can tend to outlast your opponent. And if you build them balanced, you still have time to win the game. So especially with like a hand discard, that could be pretty brutal. Because you run your opponent out of resources, and there's no way you're going to run out of resources. So here he's got 5 down. He rescues with Eve to do the top 5. Um, I don't. I don't have anything to stop Eve. Eve ignores female evil characters, which normally isn't that good, but I happen to have the only 2 I play on my deck in my hand, Jezebel and Foreign Wives. I do not play Gomer. Just kind of couldn't fit it in there. Um, but I do like both Jezebel and Foreign Wives, kind of for obvious reasons, but I also play a Zimri, Son of Salu. So Zimri can ban to either of them and decrease a human 0-6, which is really good with the decrease rule. Um, and yeah, I like that combo a lot. Haven't got to use it a lot. So here he does get 2 guys to his hand, and then Josephine Prison. So I know he's playing black now, and that's a little bit different for a Genesis deck. You don't generally see Genesis with anything but like Egyptians or Romans. But I really like black in a large deck. You have a lot more options. So here, I'm just going to give him the Lost Soul since she ignores me. So um, now I think he has to get down because he has so many cards. But do 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 do. One of the hard parts about commenting things like this is there is downtime, and we actually get disconnected in this game, but I do trim that out a little bit. So I do draw a Lost Soul. He doesn't have a Lost Soul, so I'm going to be kind of stuck here. And there you do see the Zimri, son of Sally, that I was talking about earlier. Now, Plagued with Diseases, it's a card not a lot of people actually like. It's one of those that goes in Gates of Samaria decks pretty often, but a lot of people don't like it in Gates of Samaria decks because, I mean, 6/6 is enough generally. Broken Cisterns is the much more common play. I really like it though, and here, if he rescues a Lost Soul, he's actually going to have to discard 3 of his heroes. So that might make him think twice about rescuing a soul, because, I mean, that's kind of big. It also kills Benjamin and prevents him from putting down another Benjamin, so that's really nice because I can't really handle Benjamin. I mean, it's very hard to, period, because he's so low, and he has cannot be negated enhancements for him. So here, I put down the Samaria site. I was about to put a Lost Soul in it, and I realized that, oh wait, he has Dragon Raid anyway. So that was kind of unfortunate. What's worse is I really don't have an option for a block. I have no evil enhancements in hand, just a bunch of characters that are 6/6 or 5/5. There's not really a chance for a Foreign Wives block just because Genesis doesn't draw, and neither does Black, which it's kind of unfortunate in a 100-card deck to be playing. Well, not unfortunate. It's kind of odd to be seeing such a slow combination in a 100-card deck. But again, Genesis does like search power, and so like Eve can start pulling out characters, and is very good at deck thinning, so that you will be able to draw into those enhancements by thinning out all the characters in your deck, even if you don't really need them. So very fortunate that he got that early. He doesn't draw any Lost Souls, so that's unfortunate. And I'm going to have a hard time here because he's going to be up 2-0, assuming he rescues with, I think Zebulon might work too. I can't see the cards in my hand, and how many cards are in his hand at this point, but he gets rid of Plagued with Diseases. So yeah, now he can honestly rescue with anybody. Well, not anybody. He can rescue with Simeon or Eve, but he wouldn't want to rescue with anybody else. Now he has a lot more options. So I'm guessing he's just going to go with Eve here again. That's what worked last time for him, so why not, you know? And he's also putting down those other guys, so that makes Eve do the top, what, 5? Is it in territory? I don't know. We'll find out here in a second. Truth be told, I don't know what a lot of the cards do. I just play the ones that I know. I used to know every card in the game, but I don't know. At this point, it's tough to do. So it is the top 6 cards of the deck, and he hit a lot of characters there, which is really nice. He's really going to be able to start setting up an offense, setting up a defense, and yeah, there's not a whole lot I can do against that. So it's very fortunate of him to get the destruction so that all of his guys wouldn't die here. In a 100-card deck, you don't see that very often. But yeah, I think I'm just going to have to give him the soul and go down 1-2 here. But I see he's also playing brown. It's a little bit odd. He's playing Greeks. I really like Greeks, to be honest. Maybe not in a 100-card deck, just because you can't get them out. But Antiochus is really good. And here, oh baby, we get a look at his hand, and that's pretty bad. So I see he doesn't really have anything on offense, and he has a ton of defense, but there's not a whole lot I can do at the moment. So I underdecked the only good card in his hand. Originally, I don't know what I was thinking when I played Vain Philosophy, to be honest. I wanted to do block with Zimri Sunasalu, I think, and I don't know. I knew I couldn't band, but maybe I considered playing Grapes. No, that would have been dumb, because then he could have just done this Simeon. But he might not have, but he would have. So, figure I'll just wait. If I do draw into another Lost Soul, I'll have the Grapes block, since I will not be rescuing a Lost Soul. I actually don't play any Soul Gem in this deck. It tends to be a bit of a slower deck. I throw as much speed into it as I can, but I do play 56 cards, and there's just not room for a lot of that stuff. I've considered cutting it down to 52, but I don't know. I just can't find what to cut. I love it all so much. Even Plagued with Diseases, it's really good in certain matchups. So, especially the Genesis matchup, because I mean it automatically kills Joseph and Benjamin. Throw a Broken Cisterns in there and it can be killing all of their guys almost. So here I do draw a Christian Martyr. That will be good for a block. But I actually don't need a block because I don't draw any Lost Souls. So I'm just going to put down that Jezebel. I don't really want to put down Foreign Wives or Zimri Son of Salu, so I just pass my turn, and he's finally drawing some Lost Souls. Unfortunately, I don't really have access to them if he puts them in sights, and this is one weakness of my deck is I don't play sight access, and like I was saying earlier, you can catch a lot of decks off guard with that, so I'm guessing he doesn't play too heavy of sights. But if he has 2 land disputes to steal 2 of my Samarias, if he plays 2 Ashdods and then like 2 other, well, no, even just those 4. Well, I guess the Samarias aren't enough to lock me out. I can get access to those. But here he puts the Sight Guard, one of my favorite Lost Souls, by the way, into Dragon Raid. This is a very good play. You don't want to really put it into the Samaria Sight because, of course, I can access it. And in case you can't see the bottom there, I discard John off the top of my deck with the deck discard Lost Soul. That's another one of my favorite Lost Souls. It's kind of gimmicky, but it can really do some damage. So, but yeah, Sight Guard Lost Soul is very good because it can make your opponent waste like Angel of the Lord or something, and especially in a deck that uses defense, you can run them out of resources because all of a sudden Angel of the Lord doesn't rescue a Lost Soul. You combine that with like Christian Martyr, and all of a sudden that doesn't necessarily, or Authority of Christ doesn't rescue a Lost Soul necessarily. So you can really build your deck around not letting your opponent have enough battle winners, and then you can just have higher numbers to win. Or standalone guys like 12-Finger Giant combined with what am I thinking of here? Philistine Garrison, that's the one. So here he is rescuing with Simeon. I kind of want to band, but I would only have 11 defense if I do that. So I'm not going to win the battle. However, I can band to Jezebel or Foreign Wives. And yes, that does work. I looked up the ruling like 3 times throughout playing this deck to make sure it worked. But I will ban to Jezebel to decrease somebody 06, which was basically a free snipe. And I'm trying to see who I hit here. I think I would hit Eve, just because Zimri Son of Salu will be good for another couple blocks. We'll see here. I'm not really worried about Zebulon, to be honest. Oh, I do hit Eve. Zebulon can be a big threat, but I guess his deck is very character heavy, probably, and then he uses Zebulon to go in and just ignore, most of the format, most of the evil characters in the meta game. So I really don't mind playing Christian Martyr there. I got rid of 2 problem heroes. Simeon can really wreak havoc on a defense, especially looking at my hand right now. It's mostly good. Um, so yeah, Simeon can cause problems, but he's got to decide what to put down. But again, like, I think his deck is probably based around using Eve, getting your characters out, and then using the characters to make blocks. And Tychus is pretty good at hand thinning your opponent, as well as the Genesis offense. So that's pretty solid. But the Philistines can really be played without having much in your hand. You can manipulate what your opponent does and just run them out of resources. So Zebulon might be useful. But I think for the most part it's probably just a standard Genesis offense at this point, and I expect to see Joseph come up soon. So here I'm going to flip over Darius's Decree. This is not really a tech card as much as it is just to try to stop my opponent from getting rid of like broken cisterns and stuff, or like plagued with diseases. No, I can't have them both active. Whatever. I still like it in the deck. It does help out. It kind of slows your opponent down too, which I really need. So there. Once again, he pretty much has all evil in his hand, and he did have the Joseph before Pharaoh. So that's going to be kind of a big threat if he can get high enough to get around my Zimri Jezebel band. Kind of weird that you have to get high enough for a band, but I'm decreasing 06, and for Genesis, that's pretty much their entire offense. I guess Joseph could get around it because he's protected from discard, and then of course Simeon is the other option. Levi isn't often played, I don't think, but he would get around it as well. So here, this is actually interesting. So I have a plan going out here, and I do grab Throne of David so I can get the play first. And I could play like Unify Kingdom and stuff like that. But here he blocks with Goliath, so that all goes out the window. I do know he has the Sight Guard also, and I don't really want to waste my Authority of Christ, especially because that would discard my Zimri Son of Salu as well. And Zimri is really good against Genesis. So here, I don't get a draw off of Throne of David. I don't get a play off Throne of David because Goliath negates that. I don't get a draw off of Peter or anything like that. So here I'm trying to decide what to play. Looking at the picture of King Solomon, it looks like he's warrior class, to be quite honest. He's not, but I definitely thought he was. And this is something that is kind of problematic with recording videos because I didn't realize this until I watched the video much later. Right now I'm considering playing like Valley Assault to force him to play, I'm trying to remember his hand, maybe just force him to use the Sight Guard, but here I pass and I make him make the first move. So I do play Prosperity too, by the way, which you can see. Oh, I'm gonna actually remove everything because I only have 5 cards in there. Why not? But yeah, I do play Prosperity. It really speeds up the deck with Throne of David. And you'd be surprised how many times you can get initiative. Either through immunity, like they play Balaam's Disobedience, and then you can draw 3 for free. It's really good and important in this deck to get your resources, and so I use every card that I can to do that. I use 4 Drachma Coin, I use Reach of Desperation, all of that. So here, I can't play Unified Kingdom because it would be negated by Goliath. And that was kind of my original plan to help wipe out his offense, but that's not going to do any good. I could play Authority of Christ because at this point King Abijam does a pretty good job at eliminating the offense he's likely to use. I don't think he's going to be rescuing with Rachel. It's much more likely that he would do either Benjamin or Zebulun, maybe even Leah. to search something out, get your Simeon back, I guess, or another Simeon, not the same one. But here, what do I do here? Looks like I make the mistake of playing Unified Kingdom and then realizing, oh wait, Goliath negates it. That's no good. And it was one of those things that I think I knew that, and I started looking at my other options, and then I was like, oh, I can just play Unified Kingdom and go that route. I don't know what I was thinking. But here, I do decide to just play Authority of Christ and discard everybody. So the plan here is when he reveals the Sight Guard, I'll still have Valley of Salt to get rid of him. He doesn't really have a Battle Winner in his hand, I know, even though it's so evil-filled. So it should still be a pretty good rescue. In addition, he might not have the numbers for it, depending upon what the evil character is. And I think I actually knew what it was, or I should have known just looking at his hand from turn to turn, because he did reveal the Gomer off of the Eve, and it wasn't in his hand when I looked at it with King Saul, or Solomon. So here he does reveal the Gomer. He bans to Simon, and it is his initiative. Now Simon, he has a really small clause that didn't matter originally, in that his enhancements can be negated when John and Peter are in play. But now John and Peter are pretty often played, so he's not quite as good. But here, because it's cannot be negated, I play Valley of Salt to interrupt it, and I actually am thinking King Solomon is warrior class, like I was mentioning earlier, and he isn't, and I sincerely apologize to Slugfencer. I did not realize this until a week after when I started looking over this video, and I actually tried to commentate it several other times, but I kept getting interrupted. So I'm just doing it now that it's like round 6 or whatever of Root. So hopefully I'll be able to keep up with these and do like one a week. But anyway, here I make him play the Burial, even though I should be removed from the game. And this actually makes a very, very big difference. Peter does a lot of work. You know, he already removed my John from the game with his Ashtaroth worship. Yeah. And so if my Peter died and got removed from the game, those would be my only 2 TGT characters. And that's how I get most of my Lost Souls in this game even. In most all of my games, actually. Throne of David, like, it's good, but it doesn't have a lot of things that you really want to play first, other than, like, Valley of Salt, which is good anyway. Unified Kingdom is okay, but I actually dropped it out of my deck at this point, because I don't really have anybody to ban to make it worthwhile. There's Testing Solomon's Wisdom, which is what I added for it, kind of just as a Balaam's Disobedience counter, but I don't think I like that, because it didn't win me the game against Hobbit, and I wanted a card that would win me the game against Hobbit. Unified Kingdom wouldn't either, but you'll see that game later. That was a fun game. So here, I finish up, and it's his turn. He rescues with Benjamin, and that's okay. Oh, it's just a battle challenge, actually. I forgot about that. So maybe that's why I was more okay with playing Authority of Christ. But I also have King Abijam, and Abijam, like Zimmer's Son of Salu, can really, really hurt a offense like Genesis that uses so many low characters. So nothing really interesting here. I think I'm just going to have to pass again. But I'm trying to decide whether, and I do go for this. This is the right play. I will look at his hand. Nothing really interesting there. I almost just drew one to see what I'd draw, but I didn't want to draw Lossel. So I also kind of want to get out Gates of Samaria or High Places. Probably Gates of Samaria first, because I don't think I have Broken Cisterns in my hand yet. And you can really kind of get a good feel for my deck right here, if you'd like. I will be posting the deck list when I release these videos. I don't know if I'll just do that in the description, but I'll probably just do it in the metagaming thread. So don't expect him to block here, just looking at his hand, which is probably the right play because Throne of David. But you could actually use Throne of David, like if you had Foreign Wives, block with Foreign Wives, and make me draw like 7 cards to generate Lost Souls. That would be cool. And then you'd be protected, so it didn't matter, like, you wouldn't die or anything. You'd just make me draw Lost Souls. But he obviously can't do that. So here he draws 2 Lost Souls, and I can finally rescue them, depending on if he uses Shame to set aside my Peter, and then puts the New Testament in the green site, and Shame in the blue site. Well, even if he doesn't put the New Testament in any site, can't really gain access to it. So, and he already rescued my Exchanger, I think. And I don't play. I don't play Falling Away. So there's, yeah, no way I'm gonna rescue Lost Soul next time. But he ends up setting aside King Solomon. Not totally sure why he went with King Solomon over Peter, but he was probably more worried about the Throne of David than Garden Tomb, especially because I don't have Garden Tomb out. Throne of David does seem much more threatening, but I already illegally played Valley of Salt. Well, I didn't illegally play it. It's just it shouldn't have done what it did. So here he does put the New Testament in a green site, but I do have that Samaria site in hand, so I can get access to it and make a rescue. So it's still 2-1 at this point. I'm not really worried because I don't think he's going to get Synagogue New Jerusalem in 100 cards. He might, but just the way it's going, I've been looking at his hand. I don't know. 100 card decks have problems with that, but yeah, so he's just gonna go out with Benjamin. I do draw into High Places, so that's kind of cool. I'll have that when it's ready, and I don't have to search it out with King Solomon. But my only real rescue option is Peter with Samaria. That's unfortunate. But I'm really grateful for all the soul drought I'm having because I don't think I could stop too much with just King Abijam. Well, I probably could stop at least 1 block with Abijam, since he can kill pretty much anything. But here, I end up just passing. You know, I've seen his hand, and I don't really want my Peter to die. And he does activate Golden Cherubim. And that's really frustrating because that means my drawing off of Throne of David and Prosperity, yay, and Wickedness Abounds, which is actually really big. Should I draw Lost Soul, it would be big. That draw 4 is really nice as well. And that's another card that a lot of people don't really like. I like it a lot. You get a draw 4 a lot of the time, and then you can follow up with something like Gibeonite Trickery, so it helps you get those extra numbers. But here he's just going to battle challenge again. And he does have like just before Pharaoh in his hand. So he could make me a lost soul if I blocked. But I'm not going to do that. So here he puts down Captain. Captain could be a problem, which is weird. This deck normally doesn't struggle with Fight by the Numbers. Famous last words. Because it has so many like Haman's Plots. I use Cannot Be Prevented Lost Soul. It has Gibeonite Trickery. Against normal Fight by the Numbers, not Angels, it has Wickedness of the Tenets. So, oh, and I just drew that as well. But yeah, it's got a lot of options against Fight by the Numbers normally. Not to mention just giant characters and like King Ahab, and then you make them bigger with some areas. And you can even decrease them. So here, put down a Samaria just to get side access. I don't know why I didn't rescue with Peter last time, to be quite honest. I think I didn't see it, maybe? You know, using single color sites for a long time was almost an unknown rule that you could use them to get access. It wasn't unknown, but it was something a lot of players didn't think about. And so when you saw it happen, it was like, oh, that's, you know, different, because for a long time, sites were only used to lock out your opponent. And so this is kind of a change of thought to see sites in all sorts of decks. And that's pretty new since Horma came out. Horma was really the first of the sites that could go into any deck. And Disciples really changed that around. Every now and then you saw it back in the Treasures of the Past days. More in Type 2 with like Kerr. But otherwise it's always been Site Lock until Disciples changed it all. So here I do get a Lost Soul. I guess it didn't really matter that I didn't attack last turn because of that. Either way, I would have gotten the Lost Soul, and I wouldn't have anything to rescue this turn if I did the last turn. But he also played down a Babylon a couple of turns ago. And that kind of has me concerned, because if he's playing a bunch of Babylons, I'm in trouble, because I have no way to gain access to red sites. I don't play like King's Daughter or anything. Although I could put in like King's Daughter and King Lemuel, I guess. But I don't really have space for that. This deck is pretty tight on space, even with using things like Plagued with Diseases. And there's another card that you guys will see. But here he puts down Lot's Wife, he puts down Simon the Magician, and I can actually just kill Lot's Wife with Crown of Thorns. So here he's going to play Vain Philosophy. It doesn't really have me concerned. I have so many resources in my hand. And I can't even rescue this turn because I don't have side access. But I'm continuing my Epic Soul Drought, so I probably don't want to use 4 Drachma Coin because I'll just draw Lost Souls. Well, I'm likely to draw Lost Souls. I think if I was playing it, I would get rid of Grapes. Yeah, probably Grapes. At first I thought Authority of Peter was Authority of Christ, but it's not. So, I think that's it. I just end my turn like that. I also don't want to draw because he has Golden Cherubim active, which I almost forgot about. Yeah, drawing is not good with Golden Cherubim, and this deck really struggles if I can't draw. I'm not concerned about Babylonian Banquet Hall because, of course, it's green. I can use my Sumerias to gain access to that. But if he has a lot more Babylons, then I might be in trouble. He puts the female only Lossel on a red site. This might have been a mistake. You can't really risk me having Abigail though, so I don't know. It was probably the right play depending upon his hand. Hard to say. And here he is going to activate Burial Shroud. Burial Shroud, I think, is a really, really underrated card. It can stall pretty effectively for 2 turns, especially because I had to discard Destruction Nehushtan back when he rescued with Simeon. So I don't really have a way to stop Burial Shroud, and that's going to give him some time to get through more of his deck. It's going to give me some time to draw into Lost Souls, although I haven't as of yet. So it might not do anything, actually. Excuse me. Here, I'm trying to decide what I want to do. I do put down the King Armory, which will allow me to use Samaria effectively with Gates of Samaria. But the question is, who do I want to target? At this point, Captain is kind of a threat because if he has, like Striking Hair or anything like that, he will easily be able to overwhelm me. Well, I shouldn't say that because I have like Wickedness, Bounds, and Gibeonite Trickery, so I could do that stuff. But in the end, I go with Lot's Wife. Kind of a mistake since I did have Crown of Thorns in my artifact pile. I should have gone with Simon the Magician and even activated Crown of Thorns now. That would have saved me a little bit because I do use my Gates of Samaria primarily offensively. It does depend on the matchup. Here, I really have nothing to worry about with his offense because I have like King Abijam, who discards half of it, and once I get it like a Broken Cisterns out, if he puts down Joseph, like it's automatically discarded in territory. So here I'm expecting him to just leave up Burial Shroud, but I'm not totally sure why he activated Burial Shroud to begin with. I didn't have any side access, so I guess he's concerned about that and wants to play it safe. Not necessarily the wrong play. I just, nah, I don't know that I would have done that. I would have waited to see if I had any side access. Because if I don't draw Lost Souls, which, I'm 1 out of 2 turns not drawing Lost Souls, after like 6 turns not drawing Lost Souls, he's in bad situation. So maybe saving Burial Shroud would have been the better option. But again, he's playing it safe. I can't really blame him for that. So once again, I don't draw Lost Souls, and this is kind of getting ridiculous. I did draw 2 off the bat, and I haven't really been accelerating through my deck. I did use King Solomon a couple of times to thin it out, but for the most part, I'm playing it slow and steady, and part of the reason for that was because he had Golden Cherubim, and part of the other reason is because I have been able to do Lost Soul Drought, and that's been very effective. So here I am going to use my other Samaria, and I think I get rid of the Simon. Maybe I do Jacob. I don't know. We'll find out here in a second. So I have another Samaria. 5 Samarias is all I play, by the way. So that would be my last one. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. Yeah, I do use the last Samaria, and here again, I'm thinking I target down the Simon, but the first time I targeted the captain. Okay, and I think that was a mistake, because at this point I should be able to deal with 5 by the numbers with my big Omri. This is the first time I played the deck, for what it's worth. I gotta stop saying for what it's worth. Sorry, Josiah. I did it again. Shout out to Josiah Beers, who commented at Nationals how much I say yeah in response to Oliar, and how much I say for what it's worth. Um, Now it's gonna be but anyway, here I think this is where we get disconnected actually. So we were able to reconnect. There were a few cards that he had down that were I didn't see because we didn't realize we disconnected. But they end up being okay. We just play them with proxies, so it takes a little bit to um, figure all that out. But here, as you can see, things go kind of crazy. And I don't know if this is because I'm playing in Wine, which is how you play the Mac version, but Simon the Magician is like covering up my draw 3 button. So that's kind of problematic. It's just weird to have cards like sitting in the bar up above because you can't move them there, and it just looks weird. But yeah, so here we're just kind of trying to figure out what he did while we were disconnected, um, and how to remedy all of that. So this might take a while, guys, and I'm sorry, but you can read the chat box, figure out what everything's doing. So here, I think he's just trying to proxy Goliath with Burial Shroud, but he has a Goliath in the discard actually. So he has a second Goliath down. Um, and Steve is an honest guy. I trust him completely. Like, I don't think he'd be like, oh, let's see, Goliath would really help me out here. I'm going to say I had Goliath down. No, he's a good guy. And that's one thing I love about Redemption is a lot of the people who play are trustworthy, especially among the top tier. You know, I'm pretty sure he won Type 2 in Ohio. I think it was Type 2 multiplayer. He won in Ohio. So he is a national champion, I think. And so he is a top tier player. But again, he does do more Type 2 than Type 1, I believe. But yeah, he's a good guy. I only met him the one time. I believe I played Family Matters with him at Ohio Nationals. But otherwise, I haven't really met the guy. Not officially. And again, in Ohio, I wasn't very well known. I was known enough as that annoying kid on the forums. And that more came from New York. But I hadn't had any success at any nationals, really, up until 2010. I mean, even then, I wasn't really successful. 2011 was the first year I was successful, and that was kind of my breakout year. But I had been competitive at 2010. Still in 08, I was playing like Grain Belt, and people thought that was cool. If you don't know what that is, that was a Type 2 deck where you just kept recurring Grain Offering, and your guys would be cannot be negated immune. And then I used like Men of Judah with Army of Simeonites and Caleb, with Caleb's Sword. And I'd just go out with this big giant red banding chain, and they'd be completely immune. But those were the days where there was like an auto block defense. So like I kept getting blocked by Uzza and things like that. Trembling Demon was big with Holy of Holies up. So I used Captain with Gathering of Angels to get my numbers even bigger and to be able to band. And it also allowed me to like get Joiada into battle. So that was a silly deck. So it looks like we finally figured things out. And it's my turn. I still don't have any. I don't see any Lost Souls that I can rescue. Maybe he's got some invisible ones. But yeah, I'm just going to discard down, and here he draws the Cannot Be Prevented Lost Soul, which is great. You know, he could put it in a green site, but I'll have access to it with some areas. Kind of surprising I still haven't drawn any Lost Souls. I do use 7 in the deck, guys, I promise. And I play this deck in like all of my root matches. Just because, again, was kind of surprised about how well my dad did with it. I think it's a very fun deck. I'm playing it pretty badly in this first game, as you saw with my Samaria choices. But that's kind of cool to see that um, it does take strategy, and you do really have to think ahead of your moves of who you want to decrease because it plays a big effect on the later parts of the game. So, um, yeah, I really enjoy the deck overall. Here he puts down Joseph, which I don't mind one bit because I'm going to be able to Broken Cisterns him once I draw it. And then he plays Mayhem, which I don't know. I don't really understand why he's playing Mayhem when I have a Foreign Wives down, but I don't know his hand. You know, maybe he's just prepared to get overrun by me. I guess he's just trying to generate Lost Souls at the end of it all. But Mayhem isn't the best soul generation. It's not bad. So here, I can still draw the 3 just over the Simon actually. But I still don't draw any Lost Souls, which is kind of incredible. And you're looking at my hand. You're probably laughing at Chemosh. Chemosh is amazing. Just want to put this on record. But I really like Chemosh. It was one of those things. The reason Dad and I originally built his deck for Minnesota State was because we played a sealed deck with Chemosh. And we just thought it'd be a silly, fun deck. Now here, he puts deck discard Lost Soul on a Samaria site. I'm not sure that's actually the right play. I feel like he should have left both of his Lost Souls out and maybe put one of them in a green site. But the problem is, or no, once you put one in a green site, you kind of have to put them both in the green site. But the problem is, you know I have access to green sites. You know that if you leave a Lost Soul out of a site, you might be able to put in a better site the next turn. So by putting them both in green sites, he's actually locking me into having Lost Souls to rescue the next couple turns. And, you know, I don't know how many sites he plays, but I might have left them out of sites for the time being, just to see if, you know, maybe if he gives me the cannot be prevented Lost Soul on the next turn, he draws an Ashdod or a Babylon. He can put it into a site. But in the end, I don't think it will matter because I don't have any Lost Souls for him to rescue. So I kind of want to apologize for all the soul drought I was getting. This is very lucky. This doesn't happen often. And, you know, even with the deck discard Lost Soul, he can draw new Lost Souls. But he is going to be able to accelerate through his deck. And we do see that Ashdod, so, you know, maybe he would be able to site stall me at least with Ashdod and like the deck discard Lost Soul in future turns. That said, I believe I'm at 2 Lost Souls at this point, maybe 3. So I'm just kind of waiting on Son of God NJ and another couple Lost Souls. So I can't actually watch this in full screen while I am recording, and my screen recorder cuts off the top and the bottom for whatever reason. So I don't even know. I don't think we'll be able to even see all of that stuff. But he eaves. Nothing really to see here. It's really hard to come up with like constant commentary during games. I don't know if you guys have ever tried to do this, but even like when you're talking while you're playing, you're gonna try to like narrate your game as you're playing. It's kind of hard because you get to like thinking, and then you stop talking, and then you realize that you stopped talking, and it's like one thing to do it like with another person, because then like you don't forget about the fact that you're there. But sometimes you can kind of forget about the fact that you're recording. So this is kind of weird for me. I apologize for that. But bear with me here. I'm learning. So I finally do draw Lost Soul. And here's another thing about not putting it in green sites. Well, I guess he has Dragon Raid. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I do have Broken Cisterns here, which is very nice with high places. He has 3 brigades down, so that's going to kill Benjamin, Zebulun, Leah, and Joseph, and it will leave Captain just barely alive, as he was 4-4. So here, oh, Eve too. Eve, Joseph, Leah, Benjamin, and Zebulun all die. And Broken Cisterns actually with Chemosh. Here's why Chemosh is so awesome. Chemosh basically becomes each turn you get to discard a hero in their territory, because I mean Broken Cisterns is already decreasing them. You add like Plagued with Diseases to that, and you're really starting to pick a guy off each turn. You know, you can get to like, depending on how many brigades are in there, offense, I guess. That plays a big part in things. But most offenses play like 2, if not 3. Even like Disciples play Simon the Zealot, and sometimes they use blue too. So Broken Cisterns is very effective, and Chemosh is really good with that too. So here, I'm going to play Chemosh on Foreign Wives, and this is kind of a really cool play that you can do with Chemosh as well, is set aside your own guy to make TGT effective, because now I can just play like Angel of the Lord here, which I think I'm about to do. I can play Angel of the Lord on one of the evil characters and walk in with the Garden Tomb, because there will only be 1 black in play, and I'm able to do that because Foreign Wives, of course, is no longer in play. Garden Tomb is able to activate. So Chemosh can be pretty cool by setting your own guys aside and getting rid of, like, if they had somebody they want to ban to, you'd be able to use Chemosh for those purposes as well, like setting aside your own guys. But in general, it's just a really fun card. I love it. So I do play Angel of the Lord, and I am going to go out with Peter in Samaria to get my Lost Soul. I believe this is my 3rd, provided he doesn't have anything. And again, like, had the Joseph in Prison and Valley of Salt thing been played, this would have been totally different, because I am relying on Garden Tomb here. And if not, I still would have like Reach Desperation, Authority of Peter, or I would have King Amaziah choosing King Omri to block, and then I could play Authority of Peter. So there are things that I still could be getting Lost Souls off of, so I wouldn't necessarily have lost, but I would have been in bad shape without the Garden Tomb. So here he does play Falling Away, and so it is 2-2 now after the Falling Away. And he does a site doubler. This is the right move. Hands down the right move. He can put that in a red site, and then I basically can't get to it. He's still at the point where he can still win this if he gets on a Get NJ, and I just start drawing Lost Souls. But he's in pretty bad shape at this point. I'm kind of starting to run away with this. I've destroyed most of his offense. And see, he does have that Ashdod site, so he might have been able to stall a turn had he not put his Lost Souls in sites. But, you know, I guess, again, this game would have been totally different had, well, yeah, that's kind of unrelated. But had Peter been removed from the game, this would have been entirely different. And I do feel bad for that. But you live and you learn. And it's one of those things that I never would have noticed that or thought of that had I not recorded the game. So again, recording the game makes things different. I think there will be several mistakes in games that you'll be able to spot that in a real game, in a tournament even, you may never notice. In a tournament, I don't think a mistake like that would have happened because you can see the full art. But here, Like even looking at King Solomon sitting in the middle of them, I don't know what about the picture makes me think that he's warrior class, but he kind of looks like it. Like there's that person, or there's a dark object of some sort on that border, and then there's like light object, and it looks like it's just covering it up or something, and that looks like it's warrior class. I don't know, um, but here, getting back to the game, I do get sidetracked a lot, by the way, and you guys probably know that from watching some of the other videos. But here he is just going to put Benjamin into play from hand, um, and I'm kind of considering my options here. I could just a block, and the fact of the matter is Benjamin would die as soon as he goes to territory. But instead I use Jeering Use with Gibeonite Trickery, and Gibeonite Trickery is a permanent increase now, so he's actually saved by that, and he's instead like 1-3 in territory with Broken Cistern Tap. Yeah, Jeering Use is not supposed to be 4-6. I always think that Gibeonite Trickery is humans, like Nehemiah, in that it does both heroes and evil characters, but it just says all heroes gain 0-4, of course. So, I don't think that comes into play later on. But that's another mistake that, in real tournament you might not make, because again the card's right there and you can see that, and you might never notice it. Even in an online game, have you not gone back and recorded it. So there's a lot of things you can miss, but here again, I'm feeling really good about the situation I'm in. I can always use King Abijam. Oh no, I can't use King Abijam to block Benjamin anymore. But I do have that as a block, which is really nice. King of Tyrus really isn't going to do anything, because most of my guys have really big numbers. And even then, I'm probably just going to rescue with Peter again. Seems like a pretty strong play. So draw a couple Lost Souls for him. And it's about time. Oh, there is a third Lost Soul. So finally my Lost Souls are starting to come out. And he did play Mayhem, so I guess I kind of started redrawing some of the same stuff. But I do get 4 Lost Souls, get the Revealer, make him reveal 2 things. It's Guardian of Your Souls and Strife, as he puts them out. I hope the volume's loud enough on this, by the way. I'd hate to... I'm not going to re-record it. This is the final thing. But I would hate for you guys to have to like wear headphones to listen to it. But Strife isn't really going to affect anything. Guardian of Your Souls really isn't going to affect anything. So that was probably good for him. I do play Unified Kingdom, but other than that, I don't use banding cards. So I don't think Strife would have really come into play. For whatever reason, here I use the deck discard Lost Soul, and I hit the Cannot Be Prevented, which is kind of nice, but it really won't matter. I guess that makes it so that had he not put either of those Lost Souls in sights, it wouldn't have made a difference, because I would have a Lost Soul to rescue anyway. So that earlier kind of mistake, it's not really a mistake, it's just a judgment call of being able to give me constant access to those Lost Souls by putting them in green sights. Had he waited, he wouldn't have really mattered, because I would have the Cannot Be Prevented Lost Soul anyway. So, once again, I just rescue with the Garden Tomb, and he does give me that deck discard Lost Soul. I'm not really sure why I put Samaria out there. Because I had access to the Cannot Be Prevented. I really didn't want to get rid of the deck discard Lost on a green site, because at this point he could just, manipulate it so that all of his losses are in red sites. I don't have access to red sites, or blue, I guess. Um, but in the end, I just need to draw Son of God, so that doesn't make a big difference, I don't think. Plus, he drew, a two-liner, and so if, I'm ever going to rescue, he's just going to give me half anyway. Yeah, it wouldn't have made a difference in the long run. The Buried Yellow Shroud thing might have made a difference. Probably would have made a difference, because it would have got him another few turns. But my defense is pretty good at this point. Benjamin is now one. I think Benjamin is 1-3 because of Chemosh. So King Abijam does block him. Uzza can stall a block. There are options, He does put the two-liner in a red site. I think that is a mistake. Again, it doesn't really matter. All I need to do is draw Son of God New Jerusalem. And interestingly enough, he doesn't put the Sight Guard in Dragon Raid. I don't know if that was... I'm not really sure why he played it that way. But here, I'm just going to make him use Captain. I don't think he has any resources for Captain. And Captain is only 4-4 because of the Gates Samaria thing. And I mentioned earlier that might have been a mistake, but here it actually gets me a free block. Complainers is very good at that sort of thing. So, yeah, I'm assuming he doesn't have anything for Captain. But, once again, I'm just kind of waiting on Son of God NJ to win, and I'm just stalling him out now. And I have the resources to do that. Chemosh is going to finally kill Benjamin. Abijam's a block. Uzza is a block. And here, Complainers might even be another block, if depending upon what he puts down. I would doubt that Complainers would get another block. But Jeering Youths can be really good with, like, Haman's Plot. That's a block if worst comes to worst. But, yeah, I have a lot of options. So, but here I draw Son of God New Jerusalem. So all of those things I was talking about doesn't really matter. And the Joseph in prison is all that matters. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Good game, Slugfencer. Hope to play you again sometime. So the final score of the game is 5-2. Yeah, good game. Sorry about those mistakes.